Well, day one is finished shooting. I think it went very, very well. First of all, but the cast call was at 9 o'clock in the morning. We got everyone's meet in my family home in Cookstown. Everyone landed, the director of photography, the first assistant director, and the three actors. We then formulated a sort of mini schedule where we would first film all the outdoor stuff, the stuff at the church, the Ballyeglish and in Drummanor, and up the mountain of course as well. Basically we went out to the church for 11 o'clock. I wanted to finish off all the shots with Margaret McQuaid. Obviously she's 75 and it was a bit of a rainy day and I didn't really want her out for too long, so we all went out straight out to the church. Me, Kieran and Carl set up all the cameras and set up the microphones and got all the sound ready and got all the cameras white balanced, and then we just started shooting and we had finished all the outdoor scenes with Margaret by, I would say, 2 o'clock, and then I had arranged for my father to come pick her up and leave her home. Then after that we filmed a few scenes at the church with Philip, the actor playing Jack. It was just a few filler shots of him coming up to the church and finding his grandmother at the grave. Again, I think it went well. There's maybe a few shots after I just watched all the footage back there now. There's a few shots that were a wee bit overexposed, I think maybe. But then again, I think that was more me and the director of photography's fault, because at the end we were sort of rushing because it started to rain pretty heavily, and I maybe think we did just rush through a couple of shots, especially the ones in the field just behind the church of his approach. So but other than that, I think today went pretty well. That was the first half of today, and we went back and we got some bacon sandwiches, and then we headed out again. We went to Drummanor. It was just me, Philip, Carl and Kieran. We went out to Drummanor and we just wanted to film more of the outdoor stuff, because at this stage today it had sort of cleared up and was like the clouds were starting to break up a wee bit more and sun shafts were coming through, and it was really, really nice huey colours in the air anyway in general. So we went out to Drummanor and we filmed all the outdoor stuff there of Jack looking for his grandmother, walking through this beautiful castle on the grounds of Drummanor, and then like a wee bit more of him in the forest. I've probably filmed about 10 times as much as what will be on screen, but it's always better to have more footage than less. Then after that we went to the top of Slieve Gallion. It's just a mountain that's maybe 7 or 8 miles away from Cookstown, where we were based, our base had been established for the film, and we just went up there. I went up previously last week to have a wee look around, and I'd sort of already gauged like my shot list for it. I wanted him to drive in, get out of the car, run to the top of the hill, jump up on top of a picnic table and just shout for his grandmother, because it had been previously established in the script that she would have either went to the mountain or the forest to look for Francis's lost treasure. Obviously she's not there at this stage, she's at the grave, but that will be later established. Pardon me. But yeah, whenever we got up to the top of the mountain, there was actually a strange, I wouldn't say coincidence, there was a strange aesthetic addition to the surrounding area. There was actually a burnt out car that wasn't there like the week before that I went up. It was just this car that had been burnt out, I don't know, so it was there. Just decided, I said to Kieran, my director of photography, he's like, do you know what, get his approach, film it through the car, and I just think it added a wee bit more of like a desolate feel, that it was like somehow mirrored the emptiness and barren landscape in a sense of this just burnt out car, and I think it worked perfectly well. And I think that was a wrap for the whole day, to be honest. Started at 11 o'clock filming and we finished at 8 o'clock. And it's just starting to get dark outside now. I've rifled through all of the footage of today, and then tomorrow we're going to do all the indoor stuff and all the dialogue, so tomorrow's maybe going to be a bit more technical day. But I feel through today that we've got a far better understanding of how we all work, especially me and Kieran, the director of photography. I'd worked with him a few years ago whenever I was in college at Belfast, but I never worked this close with him before. But he most certainly knows his stuff, and he's very, very good on camera. So I think we sort of bounce off each other as well. You know, he would have an idea, and I would obviously take that on board, and I would say to him I have an idea, and he would take that on board. Especially like, for instance, the shot of through the car. He wouldn't even. He said he didn't think of that. He was just sticking by the shot list that I had made for him. But well, hopefully today sort of reflected the aesthetics that I wanted for majority of today. Was the second half of the script. We sort of have to like juggle it around because today was the only day where we could get down to the church for transport reasons. So yeah, hopefully tomorrow will go as smooth. Tomorrow's going to be a bit harder, I feel, though, especially with Margaret. Today she was, obviously being 75, she was sort of forgetting their lines, and it was a bit of a push, but I was being very, very respectful, and I understood that, you know, being 75, it's not overly easy to remember things. Obviously it's reflected in the script itself, but I feel like she made a few mistakes in her lines, but looking back at the footage, I think these mistakes generally add a bit more character to the actual scene itself. You know, it's very, very, it feels very, very authentic. I even seemed like it was authentic when I was watching it being filmed, and hopefully tomorrow will be the same sort of general plan. Although tomorrow I feel like it might be a wee bit smoother because I've written that the character is going to use, you know, needles to distract her from remembering her lines. So hopefully that will work. But tomorrow will tell. And yeah, I'm just gonna go to bed now and get ready for tomorrow.